Let's talk about the Abuja real estate market. It's a place where, yes, fortunes can be made, but it's also a place where one tiny misstep can cost you literally everything. So what if I told you the difference between a secure, high-value investment and a total financial loss often boils down to understanding just one system? Well, we're going to break it down.
So what is it? What's the #1 reason investors lose their shirts in Abuja's crazy property market? Figuring this out is absolutely the key to protecting your money in one of Nigeria's fastest, most high-stakes real estate games.
And here it is. It's so simple, but it's devastating. It's relying only on the documents the seller gives you without getting your own independent official verification. This one mistake is the source of so many financial disasters and legal nightmares for investors who are otherwise really smart.
That source of verification? It's the Abuja Geographic Information System, or AGIS. Now don't think of it as just another government office. It's more like a digital fortress. It is the single, undisputed, authoritative database for every single plot of land in the entire Federal Capital Territory.
Okay, so here's our game plan for getting this right. We're going to look at its role as a digital guardian, then the all-important verification process. After that, how to create a paper trail that's basically ironclad, navigating the system's rules, your long-term strategy, and finally, how to truly lock down your asset in Abuja. Let's jump in.
First up, you have to understand why AGIS is so powerful. You see, unlike a lot of other places with scattered, paper-based, and sometimes conflicting records, Abuja's system is mostly digital, and that makes AGIS the definitive, single source of truth for who owns what. If a property's status isn't confirmed in their system, then legally, it just doesn't count.
And that brings us to the single most important thing any investor has to do: verify absolutely everything before you buy. This isn't just a friendly suggestion. It is your primary, non-negotiable line of defense against fraud and, frankly, a potential disaster.
All right, this right here is your essential due diligence checklist. Before a single naira changes hands, you or your lawyer have to go straight to AGIS and confirm these 3 things. 1, is the original allocation of the land authentic? 2, is the person selling it the actual legally recognized title holder? And 3, are there any hidden problems, like government claims or other legal disputes attached to it? Skipping any of these is like playing Russian roulette with your life savings.
So once you've confirmed the property is legit, the next phase is all about making your ownership legally bulletproof. This is where perfecting your paper trail comes in. It's the whole process of making sure every single detail of your transaction is officially and permanently locked into the AGIS system. The absolute key here is accuracy, down to the smallest detail. You're going to be submitting really important documents like survey plans, the deed of assignment, that's the legal document that actually transfers ownership, and applications for the minister's consent. Even a tiny error like a misspelled name or one wrong digit in a plot number can bring the whole process to a screeching halt and leave your investment just floating in legal limbo. Okay, let's get into the practical, day-to-day realities of owning property in the FCT, navigating the system's rules. This means we're talking about the costs you have to pay, compliance, and the development rules you must follow to keep your investments safe. A big part of your budget has to be set aside for statutory fees. And look, these are not optional. They include things like consent fees, registration charges, and you've got to watch out for any outstanding ground rent that the previous owner might owe. Not clearing these on time can completely derail your purchase or block you from selling it later.
And here's another one, a critical point that a lot of investors miss. Just because you own the land doesn't mean you have a blank check to build whatever you want. The building plans you get approved and how you actually use the land have to match the specific data for that plot inside the AGIS system. If there's any difference, you could face serious enforcement actions from development control. We're talking even demolition orders. So at this point, the choice becomes crystal clear. On one hand, you have the unverified path, the shortcut, a road paved with high legal risk, potential financial loss, and major development roadblocks. On the other hand, you have the AGIS compliance path, which leads to total asset security, a better resale value, and legal recognition that no one can argue with. The choice seems pretty simple, doesn't it?
Now, let's talk about the long game, because your relationship with AGIS doesn't just stop once the deal is done. To be a really successful investor, you've got to see it as an ongoing thing, a process of proactive management that protects and even grows your investment's value over time.
Smart investors follow a simple but really powerful playbook. First, they keep meticulous records of everything. Every document, every payment, every email, both as hard copies and digital files. Second, they only work with licensed professionals. We're talking lawyers and surveyors who know this system inside and out. And third, they stay on top of any updates to AGIS procedures or changes to the fee structures. So what's the bottom line here? How do you really secure your asset in Abuja? It all comes down to this. Success in this market demands a disciplined, detail-oriented, and compliance-first approach. There are just no shortcuts to real, lasting security. And this quote from our source material really says it all. AGIS is not merely an administrative body, but the backbone of land security in Abuja. It's not just part of the system, it is the foundation that secure property rights are built on in the FCT.
Which really leaves us with one final, crucial question for you to think about. Whether you own property now or you're planning to in the future, you have to ask yourself this. Is my investment built on a secure digital foundation? Because in Abuja, that foundation is and always will be AGIS.